Good morning, everyone. Guten Morgen. It's a pleasure to be here today. I know that time is precious, so I want, on behalf of Dell Technologies, to start this presentation by thanking you. We are in the dawn of a new era. We are in the dawn of the digital era, an era where technology gives the vision impaired some sense of sight, an era in which technology brings portable water and safe electricity, safe energy to the poor, in an era where technology makes autonomous driving safer than our bad human driving. An era in which we are invited to believe and experience the multi-universe theory, a theory where we live parallel lives, where we live a life here in this physical universe, in Germany, in CloudFest, and at the same time we experience a life in the digital universe where our devices enhance through technology everything we experience. And it is in this digital era that we are experiencing the shift on how technology is delivered to us. And even though there are many, I would like to focus on three today. So first of all, I would like to actually touch on the fact that technology has sprawled out of the data center. You know, in the US, there is the song, "Who Let the Dogs Out?" In technology, we sing the song, "Who Let the Cores Out?" We used to have a very well-defined space in our data center, and now we have workloads that are going across clouds, and they are going across the edge. The National Institute for Standards and Technology created the terminology of the edge, the mist, the fog, and the cloud to try to give some order into the layers of the architecture of our infrastructure. But in reality, I would like to actually propose an overlay of that architecture and say, look, it's not just the edge, the mist, the fog, and the cloud, but it's all of them together. And they are not only happening at the physical edge, they are not happening at the physical data center, they are happening everywhere. So we are today exposed to three concepts: the public edge, the private cloud, or the edge cloud, the private cloud, and the public cloud. And what they have in common is the need to actually leverage some consistency in exploiting and exploring the cloud economics. So why do we talk about the edge cloud? Because we want to experience in the edge the same scalability, flexibility, and consumption model diversity that we experience in the public cloud. And why we talk about the private cloud and the public cloud? Because we want in the public cloud the same principles of resilience, security, and safety that we have in the private cloud. So the first point is that in the digital universe, as we experience in this multiverse, we have a multi-cloud experience. Second, the other thing that we are experiencing is a diversity of applications. We have our existing applications where we are trying to find cost savings while having security and resilience. And we have the cloud-native applications where we were designed from the ground up to differentiate and to leverage the cloud economics. One is better than the other. One is instead of the other. Maybe, but maybe not. The truth is that we are living an era of transition. And during this transition period, we are going to experience both. We are going to have applications that have developed before and applications that are emerging. And all of our customers are actually going through a period that they are going through an exercise and deciding which applications should not be touched, should be conserved, and the best way to actually improve those applications is by modernizing the infrastructure. What application should I actually deploy part in the cloud, especially if it is a multi-tier application, and what parts should reside in the data center? What application should actually be refactored and go to the cloud? What application should I trash and actually start developing an alternative one, and which application should I consume as a service in the cloud? So the net effect is that the multi-universe is also a multi-application universe. The number 3, last but not least, we are experiencing what we call at Dell Technologies the technology forces of the digital universe. In the physical universe, you have gravity, electromagnetism, and so on and so forth. In the digital universe, the technology forces emerging are actually defining how we are going to differentiate in the future. The first one is, let's say, the Internet of Things. And before we dive into Internet of Things, let's define what a thing is. A thing for us is a collection of the 3 C's: connected, computing, and context. In context is the ability of collecting context through sensors, and it is the ability of changing context or creating context to actuators. And those things have the ability not only collect, but compute and connect. And they're going to come in many. It's estimated that by the end of this century, we are going to have 1 billion of them. And they not only sense, compute, but because they connect, they actually start forming systems. And those systems actually talk to each other, giving the notion of a system of systems. And very easily, they actually become very complex structures across the edge cloud, the private cloud, and the public cloud. So if, for instance, if you look at the car of the future that is shared, that is electrified, that is automated and connected, that car has a system of systems inside. Those cars together on the road have a system of systems, and they started leveraging or providing the fuel for the other technology force, such as AI. Now, many people actually say that all the methods of deep learning, machine learning, reinforcement learning are not new. They actually came about in the 50s, in the 60s, and the 70s, and it is all true. So why is the hype now? Because now they have 2 elements that they didn't have 40 years ago, which was the computing capacity to actually train the models, and the data that was required to train complex models. So IoT feeds into AI, and now because AI and IoT are viable, you want to experience virtual reality and augmented reality, and because that are available, now you can actually much more efficient and much more viable and useful robots, which then actually start demanding a lot of processing capacity, and then you see the spawn of accelerators that are actually leaving the gaming industry to become crucial in the data center, and then you have the fact that you have this continuum of the cloud edge, or the edge cloud, the private cloud, and the public cloud, and then you have 5G, which is connecting all of them together, and we are exploring quantum computing. So this is about 9 of the technology forces that customers are trying to explore. And in the digital universe, it's also a multi-technology forces. So why are we talking about this? Because this is the situation that our customers are experiencing, 1, 2, and 3. Number 1, the data center has sprawled. And it is not only a data center, but a centers of data. And it goes from the edge cloud, the private cloud, the public cloud. Point number 1. Point number 2 is the fact that you actually have a diverse set of applications that we need to manage, existing applications and emerging applications, and there are different priorities and goals that you wanted to actually capitalize. And number 3 is that companies of all sizes, small, medium, and large, they are chasing and racing the technology forces in order to differentiate. And because this is all coming together, 93% of our customers, according to a research done by the Evolution Group, are saying we are going to end up with 2 or more cloud providers. It is the chase that is actually leading them into a multi-cloud provider approach. And when you have that, then it often leads to complexity. Why? Because you have different operating systems, you have different operating silos. Then you have different management and orchestration tools. Then you have complex life cycle management, which cannot be underestimated, and I'm going to touch on that upon towards the end of this talk, because it is when you actually see a bug, or you need to upgrade one application that depends on another, and they are experiencing different life cycles. And last but not least is the fact that you achieve inconsistent service level agreements. In summary, 93% of our customers are going to have more than 2 cloud providers, and they are going to experience complexity. That complexity comes from inconsistency in the way that you operate, manage the life cycle, and provide SLAs to the organization. And that leads to what we call the cloud chaos. And that's where we are right now. In the chase of achieving 1, 2, 3, you land into cloud chaos. So what we would like to do is to talk about a multi-cloud strategy that tame the chaos. That's what we are going to talk about today. And how we are going to do that? We are going to first start with a clean sheet of paper. And we are going to say, hey, in a cloud strategy, I actually want to achieve 3 things to my organization. I wanted to offer infrastructure as a service, I wanted to offer container as a service, and I want to offer platform as a service, which is becoming ever more abstract. We no longer talk about container services anymore, we talk about database services, we are talking about functions, we are talking about operations, and so on and so forth. So ultimately, this is what you would like. But you have to operate under a certain set of requirements or constraints. The first one is agility. Why do you need agility? Because you are chasing the technology forces and you are chasing the competition, and the name of the game is differentiate. If you don't become agile, then all the efforts of DevOps and all the efforts of cloud have been in vain. Number 2, you want cyber security. With all that is happening in the cyber world, with all the cyber attacks, it has to be secure. But last but not least, you want to mind cost. And we actually spell out cost for you. Cost comprises of actually looking at 4 parameters. The first one is you want to be competitive. So it's not really just a cost that you can afford, you have to look for competitiveness. The second one, it must be optimized to your workloads. It must be optimized to the fact that you may not need the data now, but you need to archive. It's optimized to the fact that these are the type of data you need to have low latency and real-time processing. And it needs to be processed close as possible to the point of collection. And it needs to be sustainable. We really ought to pay attention to what I call design for the future. A lot of the cost decisions that we are doing today to achieve our operating costs goals are not going to make us viable, financially viable in the future. So we have to look at the cost today and how it's going to cost throughout the life cycle of the workload and throughout the life cycle of the data management aspect. And last but not least, it must change timely. The cost structure of today needs to dynamically adapt to the cost structure of tomorrow without re-engineering the underlying architecture. When we talk about application life cycle, we only consider the cost associated with redesigning and refactoring your application from one cloud to another or from one mode of operation to another. We often neglect the actual cost of actually deploying an application that was designed for a particular cloud into an application that is designed for another cloud, and so on and so forth. So we have three constraints. And this multi-cloud strategy needs to be consistent across the edge, across the private cloud, and across the public cloud. So this is what we are trying to achieve. And how we are going to achieve that? We are going to first simplify a view of how you consume cloud today. We are going to simplify the world and say there are two ways of actually using cloud. The first one is what we call the native public cloud strategy. You say, I'm going to go with a public cloud, be it Amazon, Microsoft, or Google, and I am going to use different operating stacks for each of my native clouds. You may go with one or you may go with many. And if you go with all three and more clouds that are out there, you're saying, I am going, by definition, to operate each cloud as a different operating stack, as a different silo. And that's a choice. Or I can actually adopt what we call at Dell Technologies a hybrid cloud. And this is a concept that was actually defined by VMware a long time ago, and we are embracing under the whole Dell Technologies umbrella. And the notion of a hybrid cloud is that regardless of what you have underneath, the edge cloud, the private cloud, or the public cloud, that you have a single operating stack that delivers consistency across your multi-cloud environment. And you don't need to do one or the other, you can do both. And even though Dell Technologies can actually support and enable you on both approaches, we are going to focus today on the notion of the hybrid cloud. And why? Because 91% of our customers responded through an ESG study that they continue to invest in the private cloud, the cloud that either resides on the data center or the cloud that resides in one of our cloud partners in a hosted environment. It's not all investment on the public cloud, so they will end up with a private cloud and a public cloud. And 83% actually responded that it matters to have consistent operations and consistent SLAs throughout their cloud experience. And that's what we aim to deliver with the hybrid cloud. A consistent set of offerings, a consistent set of services, of go-to-market, of cloud consumption, be it buy, rent, or pay for consumption across the three cloud environments. So how do we actually do? This is actually a project that is bringing together the Dell EMC cloud strategy and the VMware cloud strategy in a single cloud strategy that we are calling the Dell Technologies Cloud Platform. The Dell Technologies Cloud Platform actually delivers consistent infrastructure, consistent operation, and consistent services across the three clouds, the edge cloud, the private cloud, and the public cloud. And what does it consist of? It starts with a set of infrastructure that has the broadest set of portfolio, be it from Dell EMC or from our partners, that actually deliver a consistent infrastructure that can be managed, operated, safe, and provisioned. At the same time, we deliver a consistent set of operations, be it for secure, for managing, for orchestrating, for protecting. And this is the consistent set of operations. And last but not least is a consistent set of value-added services in terms of professional services, consulting services, security, or solutions. So let's take a look at what that means underneath. It starts with the VMware Cloud Foundation, which is the operational hub of the Dell Technologies Cloud Platform. And it provides a set of automation and operation tools across the full spectrum. Of course, this VMware Cloud Foundation is highly integratable, but it comes seamlessly integrated with the Dell EMC portfolio, which consists not only of converged infrastructure, hyper-converged infrastructure, and also a wide set of very narrowly specialized blueprint architectures, and a project that is going to be launched at Dell Technologies World in a month or so, which is Project Dimension. And Project Dimension gives you the ability as a fully managed services to manage and provision your edge cloud and your private cloud as a service. Now, one of the most important aspects, if you remember nothing from this presentation, I beg you, I would like you to please remember this slide. Because what this slide is saying is that the Dell Technologies cloud platform works on the broadest set of cloud providers. The idea is to deliver consistent operations and consistent infrastructure across all of the clouds. That actually includes the 3 hyperscalers, Amazon, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and the Google Cloud Platform. It also includes the IBM Cloud for VMware. It also includes the Dell Technologies VirtuStream Public Cloud, which is designed for mission-critical applications. And it includes 4,200 cloud providers, cloud service providers that actually offer services in 120 countries, delivering not only global reach, but also bespoke services for verticals and certain application stacks. This is the broadest ecosystem for cloud delivery. And our proposal is to deliver to our customer consistent operations and consistent infrastructures and value-added services on top of a diverse environment. So let's talk a little bit about what are these value-added services. The first one is that over the last decade, we actually at Dell EMC have created what is called the cloud-enabled services. We extended the whole Dell EMC portfolio to make them cloud-ready and cloud-enabled. So you can do data protection, disaster recovery, backup, and recovery into the cloud. And this is a set of software-defined data protection services. You can also do data movement to the cloud, so you can view the cloud as another tier of your multi-tier storage. And you can also have cloud control and cloud data management functions from the cloud. Second, we actually worked very hard to actually deliver what is called cloud solutions. You may or may not know that, that Pivotal is one of the strategic aligned businesses under Dell Technologies, delivering Cloud Foundry, which is our commercial version of Pivotal Cloud Foundry, where you actually can define and design applications for the cloud. And you do a cloud agnostic development of applications that can be moved everywhere. We have a whole portfolio of security, RSA, and SecureWorks that offer managed services, managed security services where you send the events and we actually notify when there are problems. And VirtuStream and Boomi, which allows to do integration of data across clouds. And last but not least is a set of services that we do on top of the cloud. And that actually not only spans professional services, but also delivery services, support services, financial services, and more importantly, services that we deliver together with our partners to do an assessment of the cloud and take it from there. So what are the advantages of actually delivering a cloud that has consistent operations across the broadest ecosystem of cloud providers in the world? I like to say 3 sentences. It's because you are designing for the future you are architecting for choice, and you are engineering for change. You're designing for the future, because you do not know which one is going to offer the best cost, agility, and security. You are architecting for choice, and you are engineering for change. You are going to achieve the lowest TCOs. A study done by a third party actually realized that if you actually have a private cloud for particular workloads, the total cost of ownership is 2 times to 4 times better than a public cloud for certain workloads. You are actually going to increase your business agility. Why? Because you support a broad set of cloud providers and cloud services. You accelerate time to value, because whoever delivers the best value for you, you can actually leverage, and you are going to reduce business risk. We hear so much about technology depth, the fact that the technology we are using is outdated, that we have bugs, that we have waterfall mechanisms that created the technology debt. I am a proponent of the business risk debt. By certain decisions that we are making that route us to a particular provider, we are creating a business risk that in the future will prevent us from having agility and mobility. And you can start today. You can start today by modernizing your infrastructure, by assessing the workloads that are going to deliver to your cloud, and last but not least, to align consumption and deployment models that you have today. And we rely on you. We rely on your cloud, on our cloud partners, technology partners such as Intel, which allows us to develop an infrastructure that can move faster, store more, and process absolutely everything that comes from the technology forces. We run the most modern infrastructure today because of our partnership. And make no mistake, Dell Technologies, together with Intel, together with our cloud service providers, are the #1 technology partners of today and of tomorrow. Because we work and innovate together, we can actually deliver better services to you. I want to invite you to actually visit our booth B02. I will invite you to actually be loud in the cloud tonight at 7 p.m. with our own very Dell Technologies band. And I would like to invite you to come to our boot camp tomorrow at 9:30, where we are going to share with you how Dell Technologies innovate, not only organically, but also by partnering with our startups, and we are going to bring to stage a startup as well. So I would like to conclude with some final thoughts. Not long ago, I actually watched a movie where it was a documentary by a photographer, Sebastião Salgado, and he actually explained the difference between taking a picture and photographing. He said to take a picture is to take a selfie. No, I'm joking, he didn't say that. But he said that to take a picture is to capture a moment, is to document a history. And he said he doesn't take pictures. Instead, he actually photographs. And the ability to photograph is to draw or design with light. To draw or design with light. And I was watching that movie, and my first thought was, I now can explain digital transformation. I am going to make up a word that actually defines how I feel that I use technology. It's to technograph. To technograph is to draw or design with technology. And if you actually take the word technograph, to draw or design with technology, then you can say that digital transformation is our God-given right to technograph our future, to design and draw with technology new ways that we want to live, think, and enjoy life. There are 3 types of people on earth: people that make it happen, people that watch it happen, and people that have absolutely no idea of what happened. In the digital era, in the dawn of this new era, it's very, very important that we actually understand in which bucket we want to put ourselves in. Do we want to take a picture of our today and make it eternal by making it digital? Do we want to look at life as we see it in the physical universe and transpose exactly that to the digital universe? Or do we want to actually exercise the unlimited and unbounded creativity that the technology forces enable us, the digital creativity, and accelerate, gain velocity to differentiate and explore beyond artificial intelligence? Be not afraid of artificial intelligence. In fact, technograph our future beyond artificial intelligence towards artificial geniuses. Together, only together we can change the world. Let the transformations begin. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.